Hi, Mark here. It's Monday, February the 2nd, just after 8 a.m. Eastern, just after 1 p.m. GMT. US session now underway. Volatile week last week. Let's see how we shape up going into the US session this morning. US dollar index, EMAs almost about to cross over to the upside. Strong fight back in the latter half of last week after a strong sell-off early last week. US dollar certainly fought its way back and looks like it's continuing to do so going into the US session today. I've got support at 96.88, resistance at 97.17 being tested right now. We'll see where the buyers of US dollar, and on the index we see this demand for US dollar continue. Buyers maintain above this 97 level, or if we see a turnaround to weak US dollar and sellers step in at this level, looking down at the 96.88 support level. But strong US dollar to start off the US session today. Let's have a look at the S&P. We're in the futures market for now, hour and a half until Wall Street opens up. And you can see that at the S&P 500 in the futures market had a strong sell-off to start. Firstly, a gap lower to open, then all the way down to support at 6,862, has fought its way back now going into the US session. Still a small red candlestick, but we'll see where the buyers can maintain this fight back from in the futures market and get back up to this intraday resistance at 6,965. Also, you can see on the daily chart, if I scroll out a bit, you can see that the early sell-off did stop before the ascending trend line. We'll see whether that can continue to hold and whether buyers can get back up and looking up at that 7,000 mark for buyers. Let's have a look at gold. And that was the real big sell-offs and volatility we saw last week, particularly in the metals. We saw it in gold and silver. We saw gold come down just in a matter of a couple of days from 5,600 all the way down to 4,389. That's a huge sell-off, hundreds of dollars every day. But you can see that today gold has fought its way back. Doji candlestick for now, a gap lower to start, then the sell-off continued and now has fought back and back at the open. Support today at 4,389 and resistance at 4,895. Very wide range to start today. We'll see whether buyers can continue with this fight back, get back up to this area around the 4,895, looking at the 5,000 level on the upside, or if we see a continuation of gold being sold off and sellers looking down at this support area. I did put in, and I think it's worth noting, I'm going to the weekly chart for now. I did put in my Fibonacci retracement tool covering the activity last year of 2025 from the lows around 2,600 up to the highs last week of 5,600, and I measured the extreme sell-off we saw last week, end of last week and today. And interesting that it got held up, this sell-off, this pullback, retracement, reversal got held up at the 38.2%, which is the 4,400 level. That is where sellers got held up, and that's where the bounce has been up from that first 38.2% for retracement level, which I think is noteworthy. And if anything, bullish sign that the rebound may well have legs and buyers could continue with what we've seen so far. You can see during the European session could be continued through the US session. Let's have a look at Brent oil. Had a strong run last week, very strong, you can see that. But to start this week, a gap lower and selling continuing. I've got resistance at $67.36 and I've got support at $65.43. We'll see whether the sell-off does continue and this what we've seen through the Asian European session, or if there is a fight back, if buyers do step in like they stepped in at the support level for now at the 65.42 and can get back up to firstly the open at 67.36, perhaps higher. Bitcoin, which was sold off last week, all through the week, it's been a strong sell-off since the 97,500, and that was the middle of January, and all the way down to 74,400 is the low we saw today. Buyers have stepped in today, looking to recoup some of the losses we've seen over the last few days and over the weekend. And I've got intraday resistance at 78,345. Let's see if buyers can maintain, break above this intraday resistance, get above the 80,000 level would be the first target on the upside. Or if we see a continuation of Bitcoin being sold off and sellers look to maintain below the 80,000, looking down at this support level. Good trading, keep that discipline, and I'll see you at the end of day session.